when there's a certain live event, oftentimes badly happen or like something bad happens, people always used to say time is healing all wounds, or time will heal all wounds. What is your perspective on that? From my own healing, so obviously I'm speaking generally about healing here, and I guess you're talking about emotional healing, so time will heal all wounds. On a human level, and when we're talking about healing, right, we're in emotional healing. Obviously, emotion is energy that wants to be in motion. So you could say healing happens when energy gets to be in motion. And when energy doesn't get to be in motion, then it gets stuck or stagnant. Therefore, healing cannot happen, or we stay stuck. And actually, that's kind of true as well on a physical level, where, you know, if energy, energy doesn't get to be in motion, then it gets stuck. And therefore, the body tends to, as you know from the book, keep score and accumulate and compound, and the compounding effects of that sometimes is observed as unease, disease, or a disease with a label, and or prescription medication. So, but on an emotional level, you know, what's my perspective on time heals? Yes, you know, on a human level, time does help. And sometimes we can use that as a thing to say, like, okay, this is going to take a really long time. And it takes as long as it needs to. If I reflect into my journey of, this year, as most of you know, I'm healing from grief of losing my mother in quite a tragic way. And yes, you know, like there is a certain process. Grief is, you know, I think I can do a whole video in and of its own on grief, or at least from my experience of it. It, you know, comes as it comes. And there's the emotional component also is related in the body, or reflected in the body. And, you know, it comes when it comes, and waves of it comes. Then there's also the level of the mind, and the mind tends to kind of, as we know probably quite well from this work, tends to play out the thoughts over and over again, repeating thoughts. And if you've heard any of my stuff, which I think most of you have, the mind's first priority is, you know, protection, survival, or at least the guise of protection and survival. So it tends to want to pick out information and warn us. So therefore it keeps picking out information and bringing it up. And perhaps this is the component, you know, where emotional healing takes time, in that the mind keeps kind of playing out layers and dimensions of the thing that is requiring, or that we're seeking to heal. And therefore the healing then happens when we allow ourselves to be with the emotional layers, right? Like the emotions that come up as we go through time. This process can be, you could say, sped up when we do, I can only speak for the modality that I use, the energy work that I use, because I'm not trained in other modalities. So in the modality that I'm trained in, you can say it speeds up time, because energy work, unlike physical healing, in the energetic realm, all of time is here and now, as you probably heard me say before, and therefore things can happen instantly if you are open to it, and if the layers and levels of beliefs that would otherwise block you can be cleared, which is part of the healing work that we do as well. So part of it is like clearing, shifting belief structures within ourselves. Therefore, you become a channel to for energy to move through you without resistance. And therefore, when the energy can move through you without resistance, there isn't a stuck or stagnation. Energetically, emotionally, we're not holding or hanging on, to the emotions. Then, whether it's consciously or unconsciously, then healing can happen, right? So another way of saying healing is like a raising of vibration, raising of frequency. So same thing with emotion. You could say, if I'm struggling with a certain kind of emotion or emotions, and maybe they're heavier vibrations, you could say healing happens when I can shift and, a bit more consistently live in emotions that are of lighter frequencies. Maybe, from resentment or anger or jealousy or whatever it is, from, a lighter frequency like joy or happiness, or even just peace, right? So in that sense, it can take time. And then here's the juxtaposing view on it, in that instant healing is possible. And from what I know from the healing work that I do, is that instant healing doesn't happen when our belief structures block instant healing, as in we don't believe it, right? And I'm not saying as a blame or a fault. And it's also not just conscious beliefs. As I've said, energetically, there's 4 levels of beliefs. So when we're doing energy work, and we're shifting and clearing beliefs, it's on levels deeper than the conscious mind, right? At least for the modality that I use, that I'm trained in. So yes, so in summary, yes, healing can take time, and all wounds, like, time can heal. Seems like some wounds just stay, and they don't go away completely maybe, but the relationship to it can shift. So yes, it can take time, and time does help. The body definitely needs time, because the body is kind of doing time, you could say, here on this physical plane of existence. But also healing is possible instantaneously, right? Instant healing or miracles, right, are possible. And if miracles is something that is, you feel like out of your reach, like, as I say the word miracles, you think, oh yeah, I've never had miracles. And it's like, your body, you are a walking miracle. Like, you're a drop of the universe. The entire universe expresses itself within, through you, in a unique form known as you. You are a miracle, like we are a miracle. And miracles are possible when we believe it consciously and also subconsciously on the deeper levels.